Fabio De Gianantonio, Fermin Algarve, Polispargo and Aigura. So those three have already got their places booked in. Just after that, I've mentioned it down in pit lane, and with an update on the sort of conditions that the Moto2 Practice. Let's get the thoughts of Manu Gonzalez, who joins Jack now.
Yeah, Manu was just out there late on for the practice start. One of only a handful, 2 or 3 riders with good tyres. Different conditions, Manu, on that. How bad then? What's it like out there?
Yeah, it was really complicated because there are some parts where it's dry already, but already in the middle of the corner you can find other wet tracks, so it was very difficult to dry and like better the riders to ride to put the 9-9. Right, then the line is no more dry, so but yes, yeah, so not a problem.
Yeah, the problem this morning, as you say, cooler temperatures, everyone is going to have to start on wet tyres, you're just telling me, at the moment it's still doing 20 minutes, half an hour before you guys on good tyres.
Yeah, but during MotoGP guys, Jadwal go with the line out, so there you can find a very good wet patch in the middle of the corner, and you can have a easy crash, no? So you have to be done with the line.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks to Manu Gonzalez. There are only 10 riders in the earlier Moto2 session, which did actually set time lapse in their start of this sprint Saturday. So yeah, it's going to be a particular caution as Manu Gonzalez is forced there. Still a lot of jam packing to get caught out, make a mistake. Well, day one is the long race out of Marquez. The only rider on our opening day was also the Grand Prix 25 to find lap of 137, so 137.974. Behind at the top, Pecco Bagnaia was second fast, 73.1, down on the wrong front side of the motor. Bagnaia at 38.00, forward 300 behind Alex. And Pedro Acosta has just been there on 3, completing that ultra cycle on 3. He was third back to the factory KTM, 15.10, where Acosta finally wins the first of the MotoGP Acosta's third wicket, and also very, very close to Alex Marquez. Top 3, led by Led, 9.
Costa 600s behind Bagnaia, and Marco Bezzecchi 700s behind Acosta.
Sunday schedule. Over 25 laps. Looking at Alex Marquez, Bagnaia, Acosta, Marquez. A few are making a close eye on the factory contract, but that makes Alex Marquez 29-year-old Spaniard in Malaysia. Grand Prix, just said, so relaxed. Qualifying, although of course the overnight rain will face
one here. To a jump off this morning when Moto3 Practice racing. And then we'll come back. Place off then for the jump off. That's definitely yes. Good place right now, isn't he, on top of that factory Honda. Back yesterday, so since then.
Over in that direction, particularly given that they are talking big. About their 2026 bike, which we'll see publicly in just over a week's time in relation to the post-Prix test.
Qaulify was down in 13th place. A roller coaster ride. He wanted to get off pretty sharp yesterday. A big career, obviously, which has been the story really of the last 2 or 3 years. How Yamaha concerned. Qaulify there, best running in 13th, but over 10 for a second behind again. Jack Willis did have a spill yesterday afternoon in turn 5, which hopefully 8 more for Yellow Oliveira. What happened to Oliveira on day 1 here? And quick, got a lot of headlines. Ready for all the right back to the process. Back to there. All on the screen. Take one up. Back to the World White Championship. Fantastic win. But winners behind him, like for instance, and Oliveira. A 138.986 on the movie. On that one, he was ahead of Bagnaia for the second, although that's what he said. Bagnaia struggled to 21, 25, of course, tyres for Bagnaia, all championship, MO, one, 10 tyres for
have the opportunity to compare the new bike during the following year. For Pecco in particular, obviously the flyaways were so up and down, but yesterday, despite a difficult morning, we understand that the wrong choice of front tyre, it feels as though again he's managed to find a more consistent state now.
After Tepanga said that I was really confident here in Portugal, then honestly, yesterday morning I was
After a season that he's had, just how important it is that he's found that consistency.
found it because that we have a very good winter test. One of the guys
Thanks, Davide. Have a good one.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for always catching an over boss. Davide started off and back yard. That's about making way to the suggested part until around the point. Circuit are certainly pointing towards that fourth sector, aren't they? Going through turn 40 and then down the hill, one of several plunges downhill through sort of 14 and 15. 9 riders so far in this overnight race structure. They have set time lap 24 goes best Ultra 1.414 just for reference. Reminder, it's all dry when it gets out. Margin best time 137.974. So we're around 14 seconds away from that kind of benchmark. Fabio Quartararo, Yamaha rider, goes to one of the close. Look at how the tarmac is drying up on the start of the straight. Sure, very, very happy. It's not a lot. But it's 2 seconds he's got on the way. When I first came to the college, probably outside window, it was fairly dry like this. Down the main much more of it now. But we're in that sort of situation when the best way to dry the track out is to put bikes around it, clear some of the water away, but of course no one wants to do that. Makes them go that swapping really, and clear the water away. Of course, the qualifying one coming up in over half an hour's time. The last one this section anyway, so when you do the like this, you have some sort of crack on a wet track, damage your bike, and hit the bike down. So the qualifying section starts to might not be back, so actually one section. Just to have a nice little reference. In about one world, 990 with 11 and 12 yesterday were losing and such forward that pair of them really having to root early crashes in practice at turn 13. Well, the jump off, the contest, it's like brand new, up for already, and rules the crowd. That's the proper air time as well. There's a bit of competition. If I ticket on Minor Airways or get a ticket on Mir Airlines, we have to get Prix probably. All 3 of them looking for the honours of the biggest air time going over 38.
Get Prix holiday, as they say. Alex is currently out there in 6th place, 134 in the section for both 4 from Prix for Migueli. Well, we've seen that replay as planned here, so this is the one that laid the gauntlet down and set the challenge to Juan, so don't see Jack, let's see what you've got.
Pretty quiet right now. Forcing out only Morbidelli and Jadwal on the grid. Alex, for instance, are out on the circuit. Those riders have had a little bit of an exploratory look out on track. They've already seen enough. Probably on that specific point now, aren't we, where it's just too dry now for the late time. They're just going to get destroyed very, very quickly, but no intention of going out risking at this moment on the street. Maybe not quite dry enough for the side, so we'll just sit tight and wait. What is going to be like 20 minutes time, 25 minutes or so time when he was going to get the challenge away. Remind those ways, it was a really Morbidelli quite right to see on the screen. We think that second and Oliveira, all the riders will be in the opening qualifying session. Let's go back down to pit lane.
Yeah, just had a very good word with that guy over the second, so Pedro and Brad come back in and said that the problem is it's dry for wet right now, and it's too wet to dry. After saying that hopefully the plan is that it's to lose 5 or 10 minutes, and then they can head out on a dry section. And Jack Miller goes past it, and guess what? Jack, as always, is thinking dry front, dry rear. Let's have a close look at Jack and see what conditions are like. I guess we could have predicted that one, that Jack would be the first one to drive.
Yeah, if anybody was going to do it, yours, they were so two pieces with him. But yeah, thanks very much. As always, Jack, Lorenzo Salvadori, Marco Bezzecchi, and then also we did a little bit of a debrief by thanking you out and turning your words. Obviously, with advice to each other on where sort of their finding grip or where perhaps the respective are still around this Algarve International Circuit. That bit I might have to explain to you for over 24 seconds to go out and drag on away from other racing teams. He's always the first one in to take a punt. He's always the first one to roll the dice. So Miller, under the sunshine on a damp surface in Portugal, the first rider to go out on the rubber.
Already yesterday in practice when there was a little bit of rain falling, Miller cracked right here at turn 5. It was absolutely to do with himself, so he'll be, I guess, exercising a little bit of caution and practice at the moment to be responding to jump off challenges from Prix here. When we got the episode of 2 on the 40, everywhere riders were having trouble here coming out of turn 8. The power is a bit of a wet patch there, and your attention qualifying one, and no matter what conditions we're faced with, whether they're wet, whether they're dry, or whether it's quick, when the green light comes on the qualifying one, you're going to have to get out there.
Imagine you can see Jack not wasting fresh soft rubber. So we saw him face out at 7 lap old front tyre. It looked like not brilliant time to see what it is. It's not one of his time attacks yesterday, so very much just a sense of you and judging the conditions. Get a little more. How would you exactly point this now? Dried up for the tyres. Well, it was a bullet Friday, wasn't it, Alex Marquez? Superb to lead the way in FP1. He led the way in practice yesterday. He looked so calm, so relaxed in the zone, Alex, around the practice Friday. Back in the front, a lot of
Yeah, it was interesting. Again, the Caleb thought, because as you guys say, Alex was just extremely confident yesterday. A morning like this, where the competitors can't catch up, is a good thing for you guys.
Right. It's over on at the moment. Starter pretty behind. There he is. Got for 50 seconds behind Jack River. Strike goes out. They keep you front right side and stop rear right side. Still Antonio. Still on that right rubber as well. Up Miller. In the 48, probably here, not even better. So yesterday, Fabio and Antonio put his plate directly through it. Just leading out, making any fellows back after which is playing more. Let's get through.
Yeah, I'll touch on Frankie in a minute, but firstly I wanted to talk to Pablo about Fabio. He had a really interesting conversation with him yesterday, and he was explaining the changing method, the changing words that he was doing. He couldn't keep stage racing yesterday. He felt that was a huge step forward. So just explain to everyone at home what the guys were doing differently yesterday to try and find a more consistent level.
Yeah, I think that's why we are making a very good job. Very important we have to work back and we know that we make some mistakes and we have to do something, no? So it's important to try to make something different in the numbers we are making with the mechanics, the guy, also with India, so that's very, very important for us. And looks like that the new system, it's not an easy kind of work, and looks like it's a little bit better. But in the end, we can work, not to take the bag, and we have to make something different.
Fabio was explaining that it's almost simplified how they do things when it comes to the back of the box. It all comes from having finally built up a relationship, obviously stage racing once again to Fabio, and that takes some time, but now they've both got a better understanding of the play. Fabio feels a certain way, they know that the bike normally needs to go in a certain direction, and it's taken that long for us to understand that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's very on the way to the right there and the other guy, so to try to find a very good balance takes some time, no? And sometimes happen also that you must think something, no? Because when you are flat, so you have to try to more able to make decisions. And also sometimes we like a team, we have to think to the right way. All that, it's very important also that we are working on you, not only on the bike. And it's on the bike that we have to make the right
Of course, Frankie's coming up in Q1. We're going qualifying just over 10 minutes. It looks like he's about to head out now. How important are these next 10 minutes for him to get an understanding of the conditions before he has to push is what are going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, now I was talking with you because normally, you know, in practice, 4 or 5 minutes, we talk to make the new one, no? Because we have to prepare the bike. And now it's very, very important that the last 10 minutes, you have to be on the track to understand how it's the track, no? Because every single lap, the track is the same. So it's very, very important to be understanding the track, to understand how it works, and then to make a very good qualifying.
Frankie had to do it, but he's back down again. So I think he's just going to wait the next 10 seconds. That's Pablo.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to a real 46 boss at Pablo. Yes, so. Yes. That's coming up. Pretty much one session. Yeah, the track is evolving second by second. This is lap by lap at the moment. Just try and drive a sort of Fabio Quartararo out of factory Yamaha down the start of the speedway. That's quite a position now where there's both brake and all the drop off those technically and slick tyres. Then it was the third one to go out on the very great strike, put itself down to 147.14. Take a cross also in the 147 as well. All there. Well, you're just still learning how to ride a MotoGP bike without speedway like this. Why really? I think it's a much higher got understanding the outback much higher did how the track was. Of course, the track very much the limit. Every single lap, still only 4 laps left. But chance that they want to fall in. So it's a quality laps on one of them. last to first on the standings. Something for the home fans to smile about after what was a pretty brutal Friday as far as the home crowd hero goes. 1.9 Oliveira, the most pretty stay one behind Alex Marquez. Stay the top row of the short in the fair because the second rider is 46. Quite faster. Sam following my highlights as well. Quattararo, 6.373. So we're finding now within 10 seconds of the best pace we saw yesterday. Brad Binder is third fastest, short and strong rider. When close to challenging conditions. So yeah, with a tough rider to say the least, wasn't it? For Miguel Oliveira down in 22nd place. Hoping some help overnight from Prix from Yamaha. Jack Mir also featuring a 170 What the prospects of the boys advancing into that second qualifying test. Look at the thoughts of the box.
Yeah, with Jack Miller now back in the box after being the first rider out there on Prix. You know, you just had a quick conversation with him. What did Jack have to say?
Yeah, I said by the last corner where he's like by the point of that place.
The final corner, looking at those guys, it was a difficult day for Yamaha full stop yesterday, but I imagine these conditions are one to give you an opportunity.
Well, like for us, because we are quite good in this kind of situation, but I think it is beginning of the completely right, so
I imagine as a result of that, the lack of dry track time, what do you think is trying to help it out? You said that you needed dry track time this morning to try and help it out.
Yeah, we tried for the 12 years because we are doing several times. I think this morning we found some solution because it is quite good. It's going to help after the meeting.
Thanks, Dino.
That was Dino down in lane 45. He's got an outside in from both Brad Binder, Alex Rich, Quattararo and Lorenzo Salvadori. Once again in standing in for the Jorge Martin. How the guys got it the first time this weekend. No Jorge Martin, replaced by Lorenzo Salvadori. We're awaiting an imminent medical check on Martin to find out if he'll be participating in the United Grand Prix Valencia next weekend. Still no Maverick Vincara, this is that fourth Prix side of Maverick is back in Valencia and he recovered from a serious left shoulder replacement again by Colin Barger. What do you think? 4 races in a row across the race. And of course we are missing who was champion? Mark Marquez, that's Rich Michael, now. The lowest bar, we're down to 143.331 across the 1.5 seconds clear of Oliveira. Cutting the Berger and bringing loads more. He's now dropped back down to the Stevens run here. Second place. So, Costa on a 43, second clear of me. That's sort of providing the confidence level in race. Spread to the last side. So, he is 9 seconds behind the Costa. Then half second clear of Oliveira. And for second off the pace, so a very fine big place. And Pedro Acosta gets playing with Hamilton really here this weekend and next weekend in Valencia. Of course, there is still a manufacturing shot. So Pedro Acosta, second, third, he was going to have to do quite a bit of winning today, tomorrow, and next weekend in Valencia. Trying to close that happen. So Pedro Acosta wants nothing else in front of the Grand Prix to finally get that third position across the board. There, the rear end has climbed up through turn 9. Yeah, this competition's not really too dissimilar from moving into what he faced at the costume when he made 25 days doing a race. It was a very damp and delicious venue. That's Paul Rudiger. Pick up Alex Marquez. Powering down into real tricky downhill braces at the first corner. Alex and Jacob have to be so careful not to break his line into that first turn to avoid getting a big property. Last thing I'll do is take it to much weight and load it off the rear tyre. Weight over the front. So, only one to get paid. One of the toughest places.
prepared to take his risks.
Good ending to the session for Algarve. He got straight through the Q2 yesterday for just the second time in the last 7 Grand Prix. Friday afternoons have been a little bit tough going for our Mandalika Grand Prix winner. World Championship, so that's like a by the likes of Pensetti, by Bagnaia, Mir, once again, had a look at that on board with Bez, where Bobby is there, going through that final corner, that's where that's all really slick as well. We heard some comments from one of the riders on in the second, he was one rider, Alex Marquez, Edward Gossett, identified as a big threat over the course of the Sprint Grand Prix. They will all say, yeah, we're keeping a very close eye on Pensetti for the beating bounce back from what was a very underwhelming Malaysian Grand Prix. As we look at how strong he really was over in Japan and winning Japan in Australia.
Carried on away from with Bagnaia and Puncture on the Sunday. Bagnaia took third back in the World Championship. Bagnaia not scored on the Sunday, even though Pensetti finished 11th. Back ahead from the two-time MotoGP World Championship. Pensetti 5 points ahead of Pecco Bagnaia for third overall. Bagnaia staying first, 26 ahead of Pedro Acosta.
Bagnaia was actually weekend of Commander. Pretty fair about finishing third in the World Championship. Well, third is better than fourth. Obviously, that's Euro 6, but I'd like to see it as 6, but quite clearly Pecco was quite good for his race, but not in the place for third place in the World Championship. Third place in the World Championship might be good enough for some, certainly ain't good enough for Pecco Bagnaia, who's getting himself exceptionally a high standard. Of course, he's the lowest World Championship finish, but more important was the double World Champion, a close second for Jorge Martin. Back here, not just the fact he's going to finish as high as third in the World Championship. Monumental point gap between himself and Marquez. Pecco not far shy of 300 points behind Mark, and we haven't seen Mark at all race in Phillip Island, and I won't see race for the end for the rest of the season. So it's classic between factory category stars this year.
To end the morning with a good team was the 3,000 pointer. Algarve and Alex Marquez. Sabtu and Antonio Machista is out there on the at the moment, one of the last riders. They're really going to speed on slick tyres. Now coming through 11 and up towards 12 and 13. Not some of the markets, but it's going to be Algarve and Alex Marquez will be in third for Pensetti, Bagnaia, Acosta and Zarco, with San Antonio probably on target. Washington by Zarco ahead of Ralph Mendes, 7 and 8.
Antonio, second place at that side, from place. The company yesterday, as far as he is concerned, getting himself directly into Q2. Restart, defending class, having scored a point in both of our sprints, and the sprint in the pack for the 27-year-old Italian. But a good start to sprint Saturday as far as Flipping Algarve is concerned, so he looks for his fourth sprint podium campaign this afternoon. Technically, a major victory from Algarve. Medals in Mans, in Aragon, and most recently Mandalika. Still away to go at his first goal. So yesterday, that was one of the fans to learn on board a MotoGP bike. Very fast and flowing. Algarve has enjoyed it, and he's enjoying the little jump, the Blandier jump, the way further Algarve. Sort of like more comfortable jump over there with the track out drying out. Here's Blandier, who's really enjoyed his
launched over here on the west earlier on. Getting some more aerodynamic tyres now on the switch.
Really enjoying it at the moment, isn't he, Ramir? It's a completely different character to the Ford Figurica, the Jacob Figurica over the last couple of years, where Honda were just really struggling for any kind of performance. And any kind of improvement, really. So that was another issue that Liam felt hard to take. That there wasn't a lot of work going on behind the scenes. There was no real celebrity, but improvement on track. Well, that's not the case in 2025. That Honda has made
The morning in third place, 5 riders, Birmingham Algarve from Alex Marquez, both of those. Along with the Pensecchi, Bagnaia, Acosta, and Zarco, completely top 7. Raul Fernandez doing really well, really. They came to play on the last short track on split. Qualified 9 from Miller, Fischer, Gian Antonio, and Tissot in first. Santa 14 instead of Oliveira, who led at 1 point when he went split. Pretty popular, so back to the Salvador is going to see at a Marine Practice, a Nura Race, and Frankie Paul Dennis, 22nd, towards Jordan.
So we continue 1-2 at the end of that exit here, which is round remaining in our 2025 MotoGP World Championship campaign. Up next, we go qualifying for the penultimate time in this year's MotoGP World Championship, with a fast Qaulify Algarve leading the way into Q1 and next live here at the Algarve International Circuit in Portugal. Welcome back at Portugal, Algarve Coast. Join us live as we are set to go qualifying for the penultimate time in the 2025 MotoGP World Championship. Just the 4 qualifying sessions remain of our long season. First of them coming up next, Q1 over 15 minutes. Top 2 advancing into the second qualifying session, where the likes of Marie, Frankie Morbidelli, Fabio Quartararo, Brad Binder, Raul Fernandez, Jack Miller, Tilo Fuliga, Indonesia, Marc Marquez, Alex Rins, and Air Bastianini, Tom Chance, Lorenzo Salvador in place of Roy Martin, and Miguel Oliveira in his Bagnaia was the second fastest yesterday. And Pedro Acosta, Marco Pensecchi, Joan Mir, Joan Zarco, Fabio Fischer, Antonio, Birmingham Algarve, who has just led a stamp SB2 on his 60 test, Alex Bargero and Iagura, the Japanese rookie for Track House of Prix of the Gura Stamp, getting to the race for the third time this campaign, along with our Tissot in Thailand and most recently in Catalonia. Those 10 men already safely through overnight race, the Algarve International Circuit as we kicked off with Saturday number 21 in our record-breaking World Championship campaign. 5 riders so far in 2025 have found themselves on pole position. Marc Marquez, of course, absolutely has the most pole so far this year with 8. Alex Marquez with the 1 pole to his name so far in Barcelona. Looks well set to challenge for another one right here. The warm reception. The home crowd favourite Miguel Oliveira was getting his popped up on the big screen stand in the main grandstand, hoping that Oliveira would get his goal. Looking out against their Jura. Excellent pass. The Marine Frankie Morbidelli in this only qualifying session. A new Italian. A rookie did have to root clashes at turn 13 early on in practice yesterday, which down to 1 bike. And what about the Yamahas? They had a pretty painful Friday in Portugal, yesterday their best was Fabio Quartararo in third with over 6 back. The other Yamaha rider was in a second with Alex Marquez yesterday with Jack Miller, who was down in 16th place. Really 18th for Miguel Oliveira, which was a point for his team today, having finished last on day one.
Well, usually on a Saturday morning when qualifying begins, it's somewhat for Fabio Quartararo using something very, very special. Usually though, that's in qualifying 2. We have to see the 2021 World Champion go to qualifying 1 this time. If he does want some sort of positive omen though, the last 2 times Fabio Quartararo had to go to qualifying 1, Barcelona and Misano on Q2 on the front row of the grid. So by no means the 25 minutes go this, but both one start on the front row just means you're route 2 much more difficult.
One for the first time San Marino Grand Prix. Quartararo, only Marquez, so in 2025, hasn't scored more pole positions than the Frenchman. 5 poles so far this year for Quartararo. It will be going some if he's able to make his 6 here today in Portimao, having to get himself out of this trip. This roundabout approach by Kilo Rudiger, replacing the world champion Marquez. Miguel Oliveira put on Rudiger, going through third, finishing the final corner. This was right at the tail end of FPC this morning.
Great, putting a move like that on Miguel Oliveira. All we know, he's been through the hostile atmosphere recently as Nico and Rudiger. That's the point finale at the rest. There's on the Sunday afternoon. Might have found a sort of some more moves if he's connected with Oliveira there.
I think Oliveira's going to be thinking, come on, pal, is that what's going on here? Rudiger then was very impressive yesterday, 7th fastest he was on the time to as our second fastest 1 represent of the season is underway here in Portimao. And then back suffering once today on a Friday, once today, pretty much like every other Friday so far. Almost like whenever you ride it feels like I'm at RBC. Starting from lap 1.1 seconds back to Alex Marquez yesterday. Grand Prix here last year. From pole position, last pole position. I don't think many of us are expecting an AMG the hundreds of back-to-back poles here in Portimao, but I think most never say never, but long gone, I think, on the beat of the last year.
Very much so. I can't wait to catch it down tomorrow because already has qualified for the second now in the race. 10 and 11th places for he qualified in Australia, 10 and 12 where he qualified in Malaysia. That tells you 2 things. One, he's very good when the race starts, and also qualifying way too far back on the grid. The pace he's got in the race is not the first problem to the fastest. By the time you get to the way to the race,
you look at the most played games throughout the Sunday Grand Prix so far this year, and they have actually made up the most ground from the starting position to the finishing position. Perfect choice, but how much get anything out of a top tyre on that RT60. Nothing wrong with his race pace, but just gives himself with the mountain to climb on Saturdays and Sundays. Gives himself mountain to climb, making 6 holes this year in Quartararo. Back jump FPC this morning. First time we see the weekend so far with Alex Marquez yesterday. 1:37.974. That's the only 37 we've had on the weekend. In terms of all-time lap records, well, that's Mark Marquez from Sabtu Moto. That's 2020. A slight everywhere here. That's basically the fact that all that overnight rain has washed away a lot of the rubber. So not all the regrets we had here. And as you can see, there are a few damp patches for riders still to negotiate around. All part of the Portimao track. Target on this race track.
we'll expect it to be a conventional qualifying
wide tyres. Just got the final corner to negotiate. He'll then drop over the crest of the finish line will be possibly in space, and he's got a second 140.031. Expect us to just get a faster and faster, expect us to be down to the 39, if not 38 minutes.
That's the final corner with all the corner speed you see, build momentum as you swing up through the Jumat, going down this 1,000 metres mark, really great where the Yamaha's getting absolutely glorious. They have no competition again. Otherwise, Tom Wayne and Qaulify were talking about yesterday, but there's just top speed in 1 second. And Qaulify becomes 1K on the Practice Honda really have made a massive step forward in terms of their engine performance. They really have. They've been able to earn serious horsepower on the Honda 213. Quattro, the Yamahas. Quattro has talked about it so often this year. We don't have the acceleration that punches out of the corners. And the horsepower, and they're also cruising through as well. That's going to have an impact on the top speed. Not just off the corners, on the straight. Kind of acceleration group, but compromises acceleration and also top speed as well.
Got to keep an eye on the Quattro back speed, but also keep an eye on Bruno getting right behind back speed on the track. He's also doing very good. So only gets a lap of 40.4, only a tenth of a second off. The time he can at this point, he goes on the massive. He's got himself qualifying to Ralph Fernandez, the young rider, not struggling on the racetrack. We'll get an update from him now with Jack. Yeah, and we're not going to see him on track in this new one section as well. Noé Herrera at the end of that today. No concern from anything. No decision made just yet, but whether we'll see him in the sprint race, but it will be back to the grid for Ralph Fernandez. He's the mark to make race this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. That's unfortunate news as far as Ralph Fernandez is concerned. Going down through turn 1 and 2 yesterday. Basically, actually jumped off the Prix off the front going in. But Jack actually just comes back into our ears to say that Ralph Fernandez on the track now, 20 Prix are confirming the Portuguese Grand Prix 2025 is over, unfortunately, for Ralph Fernandez. There was a nasty blow to his upper right arm, the human bone, in that crash yesterday. The right shoulder popped in and then popped out and then straight back in. Just goes to a nearby hospital for a massive morning of screening. The pain is not there for Ralph Fernandez. He's going to race up there and hopefully he'll be back in action. The latest recovery role.
All the very best. So, having 11 minutes of 170. Still, Fabio Quartararo and Enea Sabtu. One not at all surprising, one quite surprising based on their qualifying form in 2025. And once again, going to be moving in third place, just 2,000 of a second away from joining his teammate Pecco Bagnaia in qualifying to reach forward from Frankie Morbidelli, who was slowest of all in that Prix session, and still taking a little bit of time to get up to speed. Frankie 7/10 drifting fifth.
Right to the wrong end of the top speed chart. Once again, our 3 Yamahas, Quartararo, Oliveira, and Reed. Reed 33 kilometers an hour, switching set speed. So the French Marine 345 kilometers an hour. Quartararo is a little bit agitated, but it's taking a little bit frustrated. He's in control of this in 1 second. No, he doesn't go like making himself out of it. One, still being under pole position, nothing in there, already. A whole load of on the way home with the front end and Ryan minimize again coming over turn 8. Quartararo at the beach at the moment, advancing everybody else going to 10 miles through this concert. There is a massive gap of almost half a second between the Italian and Alex with 4th place. Traffic is having a bit of a tough early session here in Q1. He's down in 9th. Miguel Oliveira looking really going once again for the home crowd here and doing the right. Well, there has to be favourites for the Italians on the captain so far today for this home crowd, because we saw Bruno properly kick him up at the end of FP2, and now he's got the same treatment from the ultra-aggressive Frankie Morbidelli. There wasn't quite the same as so when Frankie's nearly sideswiped by the Quartararo last time out in Malaysia, but Frankie will stay
there. I'm on a qualifying map. I've got to go for it. I've got to be on the racing line, do my own thing. And transport here as Oliveira should have said, we've got to do the race. Get out of Frankie's way. The rider I think we should be expecting a little bit more from in the final 5 minutes is Marie stands 7th at the moment on that back on 40.4. It's there back to the idea of what kind of ride he's got on his team again. But Marie at the moment down in 7th place. He's thinking of a second off the pace.
Well, he's fast. Confident of what he's most confident right now on the secondary game, as far as an AF last concerned. 139.7, 8 on the there, really. Then we'll be looked up by again by Yamaha rider coach, exchange between Giovanni and Quattararo. Time winner here in horsepower in Quattararo. He knows how to get a tune out of that Yamaha around the Algarve International Circuit. That's pretty small.
Down that way so far, but all he's got to do is get through the top two. Manage Thomas Mormon in the front side of what's going on, and we're going to take to the head. There's plenty of shaking of the head from Fabio Quattararo so far. It's been one. Remarkable, I would have to say, but certainly not seeing the kind of cooperation from the Yamaha that he expected.
Like on the top two, we see Quattararo and Mastiach needed. They are top two in the town.
The traffic judge.
Most of them sort of expanding more. They'll think more, won't they, as well? 39.5 to 39.7 are highly likely to come to months here. As we flow through, it gets a bit of encouragement from some of the Revicture. I'm sure that's work was moving at Prix when he was part of the project Moto back in the day. Quattararo with 4.5 minutes. Not waiting out on the road yet. He's jacked away before. Come back to what? Looks like we're down in place for 1.4 place to Quattararo. Maybe trying to cross this behind the French ready to get the non-student crew there. Fabio's ready to display once again. They drop him off the sand and away he goes.
To the final although remember he said I should have put more lap. Before another lap that would have put me somewhere near pole position. Quattararo is not coming away from me. He's going out with me. Still very close. Still qualifying, certainly most of the year this weekend. Here's Fabio Quattararo. No great survivability yet. The recovery went out a bit earlier. Cannot afford to place the big game here in the final 3 minutes. He's got 73 laps available to him. Try and make himself up for what will currently be 17th on the grid.
Yeah, Marini and Southside. Big opportunity in terms of race results for Marini and more qualified performance in Malaysia. 30th on the grid last time out in Malaysia. There was a whole burst of sort of future appearances. That was a side we were hoping not to see. Well, it's the okay, doesn't it? Well, Fernandez, but perhaps taking the best off Lotus in Britain here this weekend when he's not leading Alex 170 physical back. You are just calling it Ralph Fernandez. Unfortunately, after a real heavy crash at the start of everyone yesterday. Big take time this morning, we have withdrawn from the remainder of the car railway from Portugal, which we're seeing Marie trying to force his participation down the front of that Honda over the box. That's where Marie went down yesterday in the early part of practice.
Marie got a big vintage of that ultra heavyweight qualifying morning. Like Naya and Algarve, and that put his feet down on the grid when he thought he had the performance and potentially challenge for the podium. It's not more balance than yet, but a front line of all those points so Marini over the line, goes quickly for the 139.5, but look at the riders behind him are also going quickly.
That's the best first sector. What a performance this is by the 26-year-old Italian. About to make a big play, one of these top spots here, maybe one and Powers first in the catch out of the final corner, overrunning goes, big, a fair amount of time there in that final sector. Did Frankie. That's went right, but when it changed towards the end of that this morning, still thought that monocle was increasing. Somebody's gone down and checked. Look at this, what's going on? Rudiger getting me to write it down. Yeah, I think he might be. Yeah, he is. Rudiger. That's 3 corners to clear those tyres up. What a shame, because Rudiger was absolutely charging there. Just running off. He could have a trap at the top of the hill. So really well actually stay upright there on his wheels. That had finished that lap. And was protected and put himself inside the top 6. Marini has now taken charge of this. By Alex Martin. Yes, Marini on the back of the target. Right towards the finish line. A 139.003. Laura Miller and Miller going to deliver up 38.1. That's enough to get, but it should be the line that gets over the line for one more lap. That might be the big winner in this whole Quartararo into the 38 now, 0.5 Miller, and the Yamahas go 1 and 2. Line fixes a corner onto the way. I don't think he's going to get to the line in front. He's fixing the final lap of the section. Quartararo and Miller was in a winter matching their best time from yesterday. So this one now is coming to the right, getting limited once again after the overnight race. Here is Finley, we're tracking down in 11th place, needs the big lap, trying the big lap, not enough room for Q1 and Finley taking the second flag, so he's not going to be going into Facebook Finley is going to be 40 on the grid with a 129.360. And Quartararo, what's happened to Quartararo down the hill in turn 5, a 138.661 at the moment, getting Quartararo comfortably into and the moment we've got Marini and Rudiger still on track. Morgan only got round through the first sector, but already takes down. So has Quartararo, I think he's coming out of 4 that's had some sort of issue. Let's have a look there. If he goes wide on those curves, we might go over the water. In fact, he drops over the other side of the curve, front wheel goes sideways, and already there Quartararo will go to the lap is gone. And Jack Miller, the 2 Yamahas, have booked their spot in Q2, a 138.661 from Quartararo. Best weekend time at 38.598, so very, very close to that benchmark. And once again, in by margin, but Luca Marini picks down. He's now successful Grand Prix, and Marini's going to find himself starting in 30th place on the grid. How many times before? Second half of the season has felt that Marini's had great pace for Texas in that close battle. Still, I think, of course, but giving himself a huge task coming from 30th on the grid, just hoping to get back time out in Japan. They will start 14th on this factory case again. Thanks for the flag, 5 seconds or so before he finishes the lap, but he gets a chance to get over the line, 10 seconds earlier, he might have got to have that extra run, so they will be at the end. So he might not be the happiest place to it, and he's going to see for Barry Quartararo has only cleared that crucial first hurdle, and the qualifying so will have the opportunity to challenge as remote as that chance may be. Something in Indonesia, 17th on the grid in Australia, only was, of course, the front right Malaysia, but aside from that, qualifying performance is away with a real struggle as far as MotoGP is concerned. So the back battery is quite the right of the Yamaha stars in
Yes, worked in tandem and worked in the practice in phase. Both in the 38 was come to get through to Quartararo and Miller advanced. Marini third ahead of Brad Binder and track performance Jelly. They'll be on the pit road together tomorrow and this afternoon in Prix. Back in the race including one Michael Minggu not run off at 10. Double Rivera 9th ahead of Renzo Salvatore. Untitled Chapter will start at the back of our grid at 21 for the sprint race on today with Ralph Fernandez taking no time and George for the rest of the weekend.
Fabio Quartararo still in the hunt for what we call number 6 2025. All the way to the left on Silverstone and most recently last morning, last week in British Island on the French Grand Prix. Nothing to rise, let's say, for already a time winner in Portugal. Fabio Quartararo then. And Jack Miller. Coming up next is live here at the Algarve International Circuit. Find out already on pole position in chapter 21 in 2025. Back. The roller coaster. Welcome back to the spectacular Algarve International Circuit. What a place it is in Southern Europe. And what a venue it is. For round 21 in this year's MotoGP World Championship, we have never, ever had a round 21, have we? This great series started all the way back in 1949. Well, here we are, it's fair to say, ready for qualifying in our 21st chapter of a season which has seen Marquez return back to the top of the World Championship. Portuguese fans, well, they are at in form. They are outnumbered, of course, for the time being. Miguel Oliveira's home farewell to the World Championship. Positive conditions, look back to the drop. Alex Marquez has been one of the favourites, of course. He is first yesterday being in practice. Alex practice session 1, practice in the afternoon, practice session. So far, he arrived at about the last 51 to 37 this weekend. And we'll look at the second competition of the campaign. He would have been so proud of the circuit of Barcelona Captain, where he did go on with one of 3 Grand Prix, which happened to Alex second overall in the World Championship. That's Bagnaia, of course, our most recent pole starter. Last time out the Spain International Circuit in Malaysia. Like you say, when we ended the hour-long practice session, 800th of a second covering Alex Marquez, Bagnaia and Acosta. One, pretty much brought them out. Very strong call by Fabio Quartararo and Jack Miller advancing on Yamahas. All 5 manufacturers represented. I think all 5 have got half a chance here of fighting for pole position. Yesterday, all 4 of them were in the top 5. Catch hit against the Prix and Honda with Alex Marquez and Bagnaia 1. Honda second and third. And then the number of 4 was Blanchard for Honda. 50 and Hansen on the Moto3 Fourth now 4. Together, no one breaking up the white horse Fabio Quartararo. No matter how it's back to Yamaha. Rather amazingly, I think you can see there, Pedro Acosta still without a late start. World Championship has been a bunch of years down the road. 3 years lap of 4 from Prix across the 4th band. So that's the quick round. He has started, unfortunately, coming in very familiar 5th place. Middle of the second row in Mandalika, Philip Island, and Moto3 leading tag. Straight across the final, and yourself back on the front row. On grid, on the front row. The table pole, that flyway tour of 2024.
Well, starting today was still a very packed wet track. Pretty much there are still 1 or 2 damp patches around the race. I stuck up the racing line just a little bit down from something 70 last night in qualifying 1. Stuck the racing line, that is right, the track now. Quattraro did a 1:38.1 in qualifying 1 compared to a 37.9, the best dynamic Marquez did in the practice. That's for Fabio Quattraro, just half a tenth shy of what he did in practice yesterday. So he's right.
Jack Miller the same. Both Quattraro and Miller almost identical times they managed yesterday. So straight away, as that track got fully dry, they were able to try and take some part with what they managed in practice yesterday. So here we go, that means not the qualifying session. They managed to get underway here in Portugal. Roll was the fastest rider in the world, about to try and take the roller coaster. What are people from the side? Last way, looking about. Leading on day 1 here. Light rain was falling throughout our working day. The green light that flashed on at the end of pit lane. Field led by Pekka Bagnaia. Charging down the hill into the 3rd corner. Poles already so far to give the Bagnaia in the no with the taking and the plan of more slack time out. And then back to the our most recent pole starter. Just unfortunately not able to get himself out of position 1. For Marquez there, 2023 pole here. Heading at Portsmouth. That 137.2 remains fast ever lap speed around the calculation 4.6 kilometre Portsmouth flat. The Costa there briefly was up behind Alex Marquez. Now dropped back a little bit. Let's see a pretty effect getting through. Interesting footage, very impressive yesterday. Old Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta absolutely rapid through the first sector, aimed of course by the top speed of the KTM heading down to 1. With strong really through 3 sectors of this lap, but they've lost so much time to Alex Marquez in the 4th sector. KTM through those long corners in the final sector. So keep an eye out for that in the final sector. That's where Pedro Acosta loses a lot of time. Front row start, late for factory, front rider, Marco Vector, with poles in Austria, Lugano, and Manchester to the front row, as well as in Hungary and in Australia. Quattraro then back in the 1, charging factory Yamaha, up the hill, out the final corner. This is where the Yamaha really doesn't suffer with that. Lack of poke at the top end as they charge with 4 and 6 years. Down the hill, Friday. The road is great, so off the 3rd corner. Got the back through to come up over 100 kilometres an hour into that 3rd one. So, 10.2 the best one, 37.9 the best of the weekend so far. Quattraro hanging hard on the brake, down into 35.
Perfect back factory out of pole. Or they just sit there in qualifying 1, which is left on the wrong side of the curve. It's got some massive wings when returning to the racetrack. Quattraro can potentially take some extra risks on his first lap that the majority of his cars was on track 10 minutes ago in qualifying 1. Of course, the track has community 1. He doesn't have as many fresh tyres available to him.
So often, this part of the weekend in 2025, Fabio Quattraro has been able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. On this occasion, some of the best single laps we've seen in 2025 have been arriving number 20. Hard against Bruce was at the front end of that M1 engine now. Bruce dropping down, searching Bruce to start to drop away. Comes really long way to the right hander of 40 on the second gear, and now down the hill once again. Right, Fabio Quattraro will be our second part lap. I think he'll go 25 was 8 the fastest I would say so far. That's a week to describe what he managed in one earlier.
Top five, I don't really want essentially Prix practice 2 earlier on today when they were running on old tyres at the end of that session. So Quattraro is the best second in the course at the moment. That guy and the other rider in the 38. Alex Marquez is on them on a 38.9. So the top five at the moment are putting 138. But that's quicker at the moment. Yamaha, Aprilia, KTM, Ducati.
Bagnaia looking well set here for challenging the back-to-back poles. Still there, Quattraro bringing up that rear tyre. He's on the gas coming out of turn 5. Where the Yamaha was up to that one here at the Yamaha. That's got to enjoy on that big four designed primarily to get a bit of ace performance, a bit of horsepower that Yamaha brings sadly missing, but also feel that they have to find long-standing victory, really. Hot laps coming in then from Bagnaia, from Alex and from Benedetto. On the bottom you'll see Acosta looking for his first front row start of 2025.
Second rider behind Alex Marquez. The back end of it, but Acosta is just behind the pair of them. Looking to try and pick up some points in the quote in the final. But Acosta is at the top of the picture there, back left to the final corner. With Alex Marquez leading back second. Bagnaia back across line at the moment now. He's go with Quattraro. Bagnaia across the line. And he goes. He's coming to a fall by 5 thousandths of a second. Alex Marquez to a 38.0 now. Just 10 seconds.
Acosta is inside that top 3, but we've seen him on a few occasions this year at a crucial moment, particularly in qualifying. He's been successful for a few mistakes. At the moment though, so far so good for Acosta. Alex Marquez once again showing the reference rider. He's the rider to beat in horsepower. Straight away, first attack at 138.098. So close. That's massive pace yesterday, that 37.974. Terminalia, who was the fastest in that damn left in this session. Kick off our 21st sprint Saturday of the season, putting up another strong fight here at Morton's front row. Big place at the moment for Algarve. He's only one front row start so far in his stellar rookie season. That came on a dream weekend for Algarve, second on the critical side in Mandalika, and then went on to finish second in the sprint, and then one better in the Grand Prix. I'm going to become the second rider in history to win a Grand Prix. Looked like he might have just rolled out of it there, didn't it?
Bagnaia at the moment is just a third of a second front row. A 38.5 for Pecco, puts in fourth there, Quattraro and Algarve. Here on the factory Honda, putting in 38.8 at the moment. 7th place, 38.1 in Pryor. From pretty much dry track at the moment. So Neo still has plenty to offer on that factory Honda.
Nice, you're in 11th place, that's the third time this year he's been the race for a 129.3, the best of the Japanese rider. Especially yesterday, 38.4, so ran a second off the pace he managed yesterday. And the pack deal back into pit lane then. After the opening of Janak, of Alex Marquez himself said that he's still second. Coming to the pack, probably a lead now, no stretch, no pressure. Going to ramp up the pressure on some of his rivals. Alex continues to stay the form. Because clearly at the moment, he's the standout rider of this round 21. Making it look rather easy as well. He said yesterday, throw in the floor. So quickly into the groove, everything, the lap time is just the bolt liner of coming for Alex. When you're in that kind of zone, combination between Alex Marquez and the Ducati 24.
Essentially a calendar year for Pedro Acosta on the front row of the grid. That's currently Wednesday, third way. So like Alex Marquez, he's the one going to where is Acosta on the front row of the grid? They probably want to see on the run down to turn 1. That's tomorrow for Prix and the once again welcome side here on the Algarve coast. We know how rapid that army is off the line.
Yeah, that's strong. Like Kenny, ever posted in MotoGP in Acosta. One of 5 riders to be one of the most stamina posted in the first 2 races of his Grand Prix career, keeping some very illustrious company with Mark Marquez, all the way back to 2008, back to 2000, most recent Roy Martin, 2021. Costa knows he's going to be grinding the game. He's going to be on that front row of the grid. Given his outstanding record here, previously 4 podiums, 5 with 3 wins, he's always felt like he's going to horsepower circuit. And one of the obvious races, Barron runs, North Windland, number 40 in MotoGP. For a cost, I don't think many of us thought he was going to be a dream. He's got 40 MotoGP without a win. That's as it stands. Trying to rectify that tomorrow. Alex Marquez out of the back on course as it stands at the moment. Those 2 registered just his 3rd ever pole position in MotoGP. He's going to take some of the rest of that. So what's Wayne Malik at the moment? What's happening on the gone out with Marco Ventetti's right on his rear tyre, which he had for that first run, so he's 4 seconds to the lap on his own, and he's going to be able to hit all on his own. So work going on here on the 44 of Polish Fargo, with the spectators regulating the next to stage, the 5 seconds to remain, hold the moment, set the start to the middle of race 3. Out again, then back to the second row, and play. Jack Miller, of course, came out of his one win, Fabio Quartararo as well. Miller's opening conversion in that session of 39.5.5. Back to the second place position, 1 benchmark. As Algarve picks up the pace, charges down the start 3 straight, drops to his right, leg edge, stability on the race down the hill, into turn 1, and when we pick up that second out as well. Front riders, looked on strong all weekend after a bit of a blip last time out. It's a time where we're probably at the front of that stage. Went all the Grand Prix, right down a bit slow out of your camera shot there, behind Fermin Algarve, he's on the gas, powering the Cathy out of turn 5. Close as far as Algarve and that second Costa, maybe not close as far as Costa is concerned, because the Costa here, although three on your screen, just threatening 37s here. And if anything this weekend with Alex Marquez, first second is not too strong around actually with the 4th sector. So you see a lot of good work from Alex Marquez, but second now a quarter of a second inside, and we are closing in on the 137 once again. Pedro Costa further back down the race, second about to come through second sector. He's around about a half a tenth down on next second, but on Alex Marquez. And Algarve struggling, having had a real strong blitz in the first sector. Time in the second, 2 and 3 moment is Algarve. No problem at the moment though for Ventetti, Acosta, Bagnaia, and so they're looking really good. Just out of the Jeremy Jackman there, probably sitting right now. Ventetti, the perfect reference here on the fact that we're getting pretty ahead of it. We're going to find the first 137 and 3 Saturday here. It's going to be fine and story by Marco Ventetti. Hopefully like it goes. Julia Blythe in the 137.556. Ventetti was lightning fast in that final sector. What a last sector that was by Ventetti. Miller goes up from 12 to 4. Acosta minus 37. A 137.930. He's on for a decent best. Second place. Zarco jumps up in P3 for LCR Honda. What a late second this is really big. Ventetti, Acosta, Zarco, and then you moment your front row. Alex Marquez isn't really responding to that at the moment. He's a quarter of a second down. No matter how good he is in the final sector, Alex Marquez worked it out to overturn back. Here he comes on the 73. He left before a 10 after this one, but he had a poor third sector. Second sector to Alex Marquez. And the outcome cost going to be a 37, but he's not going to beat Ventetti. Alex Marquez only third. Ventetti and Acosta, they ain't done yet, are they? So too, Alex Marquez, but look at this for Marco Ventetti. Again, the second in that final sector. Quartararo once again delivering something super special for the factory Yamaha team. Quartararo 137.8, something got down. I can hear something down my headset. Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez on the front row. Tries to get himself back on the front row of the grid. Back, no second
pole position. It won't be Alex Marquez. He won't be on the front row. But Becky burns the Costa.
Becky starting towards the finish line. Over on he goes. A 1 at 37.575. What about Costa? Now he's back pole position. With just over a minute remaining here in this Portugal qualifying session. Up to second. So that just that second one. 37.556 points. Clinging on to the front row. Remains Fabio Quartararo. Juan Mir jumps up to 6th place. We've got Zarco, Mir and Miller at the moment. Well, Zarco, Mir on the second row with Alex Marquez. How confident is that class 3 for Marquez? He's going to get pushed further down the order.
The one line that might push him down. He's had 2 scruffy laps. It's Pecco Bagnaia. He's at 10th at the moment. He's not improved on that 38.5 on his first run. Went up again of a 3rd sector on his first lap of run 2. And it's brilliant as problem on his second one too. So Bagnaia's got one more shot at it. Has to set back his first sector though.
Costa still pulling away, still fighting with all his might on that back again here. Taking pole position here in Portimao. Pecco Bagnaia also trying to validate other teams because the moment he's down in 10th place on the Iondura of Thomas Fargo and the Costa made a mistake. Costa then has to roll out of it. So that session over as far as he's concerned. Easy though, safe and secure and about to claim his first front row start of 2025. Becky looking well set for pole position. Algarve, Bagnaia, not really happening for him on this cover. That's the late move up into 8th place. Second half, back to Bagnaia. Second in now, Cameron, already on a 37.556. So is the answer. Second flag, with Furman Algarve as well.
He might get himself in amongst the second or third row of the grid. So Alex Marquez, wherever he is, very, very close. If he can focus back to the big now, with Bagnaia, who had a really good third sector, might even stick ahead of Acosta here. Pecco's got the final sector right. Down the final corner now. These Becky might be a tall order. Bagnaia just gets ahead of Alex Marquez into the 4th.
Fabio Quartararo's back down as well. Quartararo is at an excellent third sector. He's only down by 100 per second on that second best lap. Quartararo just called it off. He's going to be on the front row of the grid. Thomas Fargo jumps up into P10. And that run against Furman Algarve. Saturday started off pretty well. Back to the damage there with Algarve. Down in 11th place. Marco Bezzecchi, well, both Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta, they picked out the Italian on the back three in Puglia as potentially being one of their big threats, their big rivals for success here this weekend. Well, that was a prediction. It was bang on the money here, wasn't it? Bezzecchi then on pole position on the back three at Puglia, just as he was most recently in Red Bull in Austria, in Misano, Pluto Brad, and in Mandalika. Alex Marquez, well, 6th place for him was all Alex came for. Here he is, they're going through turn 2. That was never set for the score, was it? He's just going to watch the front down, going through turn 3. That's the straight then. Will be Alex Marquez start the 12 laps for this afternoon and tomorrow 25 lap Grand Prix Portugal on the middle of the second row in 6th place.
Looking on for a fantastic record front row in the green, which might have one in clear drivers. Well, second time Prix races, there is no Ducati on the front row of the grid. So a Prix, a KTM and a Yamaha that will start on the front row of the grid. Johnny Costa will both go down to turn 1 first, rest are on, and he's now taking wet back to the pit. Through everything at that, it's his first front row all season, and Costa is well and truly in the game to fight the victory here.
Like 2024 Japanese Grand Prix, Costa qualified on pole position. Fortunately, he went rapidly downhill thereafter because he crashed out, I believe, the sprint, and then crashed out of podium contention in the Grand Prix. He was hunting down Pecco Bagnaia early on. Well, Marco Bezzecchi, it does look like the plan was just a minor blip, doesn't it, of late fully factory and Prix. Another pole for Bez, another pole for Aprilia, let's get a thought of the boss, Paolo Minora.
Although, once again, when he needed to deliver, he has delivered. Pole position to the guys, and with Alex on second row, it feels like a big opportunity again. Not bad, huh? Not bad. And to be honest, we have seen that he tried for the third lap. So it was not bad because he confirmed the first, the second, the third lap, all the same lap time, so to be that he has a good confidence with
number 8. It's been MotoGP career 12th in total for Marco Bessa. 10.5. A failure of a cost to find himself in Park Ferme at the end of Q2 for the first time in well over a year. And Fabio Quartararo has done it again. How does he keep on doing it? Out of Q1 with a 138.661, which was a pretty impressive lap time. Quartararo back on circuit for Q2 and found another 8 seconds. Put himself on the front row of the sprint once again. That's an excellent time for Quartararo to put that Yamaha on the front row. We know they pay too much, but it's certainly diverted.
Every lap Euro instead of it. Well, got the fight. Could make a case to say that Anton has dropped the ball really in that qualifying session. Then he had him as the favourite coming into this for Saturday. May still be the favourite for Sprint Victory later on, but the Saturday has overtaken the footnotes and spurring all the runner further back as he watches back in Spain. Alex Marquez is qualifying January 6th. The Mark Marquez has won the BMW M Award as top qualifier of 2025.
First time, there's a nice shiny BMW, then heading to the Marquez household. You can at least still smile about it. He'll be frustrated that wants his minimum at the front row. At the end, well, yesterday Alex was the only rider in the 37. This morning, back when he came to rise after that start, there were 5 riders that found laps in the 37. Mark Marquez is all-time lap record with Pat. Close to 137. That a bit of a story and maybe not have the overnight running, which really would have an impact on grid level. Marco Bessa, those constantly put them off. Masto really below. Fabio Turki there, just separating Marco Bessa, he wanted something from behind the scenes. And a brilliant. Marco Bessa. That third place in the World Championship minus 63 for Gala on Sunday night. Next day's time, Hannah Ricciardo is almost certainly in Valencia. Fabio Quartararo coming very, very quickly. Jack has done it again. Back to Q1 and on the front row once again with another sensational qualifying performance. Fabio Quartararo certainly for Jack.
Fabio done it again. You have to pull something special out to get onto the front row, and that's exactly what you're doing. Managed to pull that off. Last time, the first season I wasn't probably able to, I wasn't not forward, but yeah, I did a great job. I didn't expect to do that, but especially I think that more like the first lap that we do that, and I think so really happy and hopefully we can manage to play, but I just want to great job. Thank you.
Riders on that front row really are having to work hard and muscle machines, and fair to say not at the level of some of their rivals at the moment. When you look at Pedro across the gate here and Fabio Quartararo on the Yamaha.